Hi, let's talk about the rivet philosophy. I'm supremely invested in this. So there's this called rivet.dev, and their tagline is literally where agents live, state identity, and durability. Um, and it's kind of different. It's kind of fresh. I know it's not exactly fresh because it's also like kind of recycling old ideas and kind of bringing it back. You might have heard about the actor model that Aka kind of came up a long time ago, and now it's kind of taking a rebirth. So they are saying actor model reborn for the AI era workloads, because the traditional cloud gospel used to say that make everything stateless and then push state to the database, and that was kind of optimal for CRUD APIs, but it's kind of wrong for agents, chat rooms, collab documents, sandboxes, and even long running agents, workflows, and stuff. So anything that has any identity and memory, it's not just about memory. So the bet of Rivet is that the most primitive software actually needs not just a request handler or any sort of a container. It needs a long-lived, addressable, stateful process, and it has to be like one per meaningful entity. So one for every agent, one for every session, user, room, tenant, document, those kind of stuff. So they're like, I see it as in like it has having like 5 convictions. So state belongs next to compute, not across a network hop. So like Redis is like 1 millisecond away, Postgres is around 5 milliseconds. Inactor SQLite is going to be 0 milliseconds. So when an agent reads its own memory 20 times per turn, network round trips dominate the cost and latency. So just co-locate them, right? Then again, one more thing that I've seen is isolation by entity and not by isolation by process, right? So instead of one big shared server juggling every user state, give every user agent room its own actor with its own state storage and networking. What happens is you have this blast radius, and what happens to the blast radius is that it kind of shrinks to just this one entity. So one bad bot can't kill the fleet if each bot is its own actor, right? So that's the thing. So it's isolation by entity and not by the process where the entity lives. And then you have long-lived and hibernating, and I feel it's much better than a request response kind of a dichotomy that we have. So like lambda, AWS lambda, it evaporates, right? Pods cost you 24/7, but actors live for hours and days. So if you want to do pod and lambda kind of cost structure, it's not going to help. So actors can live for hours and days, they can be idle, so we don't want to incur any cost when they are idle. So let them sleep when they're idle, and they should just wake up in like 20-30 milliseconds with their state intact. So this is a unique challenge. So this matches how an agent conversation actually behaves, right? So this is the third, I would say, as a conviction. Then you have durability. So the way we are thinking of bolting on durability is it's a primitive, it's not a integration. So workflows survive restarts, or I should say should survive restarts, yes. Queues are persistent, right? And the cron job, the concept of the cron service system D, should live inside the actor, so that the state then auto persists. So then what happens is you stop bolting together, like things like a lot of people do it, like temporal, bullmq, redis, ably, and a cron container just to build one agent. So you stop doing those kind of things. And I think the last kind of conviction is that one primitive, and it can have multiple ways of looking at it. So it's like multiple faces. So chats, agents, sandbox orchestration, be it like per tenant databases, collab documents, durable workflows. Rivet claims all these are kind of the same, kind of like the same structure, or how do you say, like same shape. So once you have an addressable stateful process, or how they wrap it as an actor, you don't have to invent new abstractions per use case. So this is the design philosophy behind this. Then I think, yeah, there's a lot of promise for this. So in the next video, we are going to do a hello world using Rivet. So this is also me doing it for the first time, so I'm not gonna rehearse this. We'll see what are we failing at, because as we are coming from a LangChain LangGraph philosophy, and we are slowly moving into this Rivet or like Akka kind of a philosophy. So we'll fail, and we'll learn again to kind of make a opinion whether this is useful, right? So see you.